like to call the order the Landmarks Commission meeting for February 27th, 2023. Time is 6:58. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Linda Bovee?
Here.
Dr. Scott Kelly?
Here.
Will Wardell?
Here.
Roger White?
Here.
Rich Dowdy here. Pete Lynch?
Here.
Dave Craycraft?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse David Craycraft from tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call. Pete Lynch?
Yes.
Rich Dowdy, yes. Roger White?
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly?
Yes.
Whit Wardell?
Yes.
Linda Bovee?
Yes.
Can I get an approval of minutes for the January 23rd, 2023 Landmarks meeting? Or I will make a motion to approve the January 23rd, 2023 meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call. Pete Lynch?
Yes.
Roger White, yes.
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, Rich Dowdy, yes. Dr. Scott Kelly?
Yes.
Whit Wardell?
Yes.
Linda Bovee?
Yes.
Tabled applications.
The first application for tonight's agenda is CA 22-042, address 79 North Trine Street. The request is for front porch modifications on the subject property. For brief background on the application here, in December, the city sent a notice to the property owner that changes were made to the porch without approval from the Landmarks Commission. The applicant filed for the changes that were made and was heard at the December meeting, was given feedback from the commission to look at to propose modifications for further review. The applicant has put those application revisions together for the commission to review this evening. Up on the screen to the left is photographs of the porch from 2022. On the right is later 2022 after the changes were made. Kind of quickly move in here through the photos I have. Here's a photograph from 1987 that shows the porch on the home at the time. Had solid railing around the porch, 2 outside columns and 2 center columns that were turned out to be what looks like the same width as what was on the outside. If you notice here, the height of the railing on this porch is at the lowest part of the windowsill here, the window trim. Looking at a photograph here from 2010, the porch has center columns put in that are full height, has some decorative spin balusters around. Again, with this system, you can see the height of the porch railing is at the lowest part of the window here. In 2014, when the house had a major remodel, you can see a lot of the decorative spindles were removed from the top section. The bottom section were switched out to be square. The height of the porch, however, remained the same in this transitionary period. 2021, about the same as 2014 in terms of its design and condition. And then looking at the 2022 photograph here, you can see that these square spindles have been switched out for metal tubular system. The center posts have been shortened to be kind of decking height, and that the porch itself appears to be what looks like a 36-inch decking height, which is taller than the photographs that were shown from previous iterations. The applicant presented their application back in December, talking about the changes that were made, showing that structurally the porch was in disrepair. They braced the end supports, re-trimmed them out with new lumber. They were looking to remove some of the aluminum wrapping that was around the top of the porch to expose the beams. A lot of the lower trim had rotted off, was being repaired. They talked about the metal railing system that was installed during the for the commission during the January application. It was determined that this railing system was probably the same product that was used on a rear deck project here in town. Looking at the two kind of products side by side during that at their application. Again, just a zoomed-in photograph here showing the context of the porch with the system that was installed. The applicant took feedback from that December meeting and has the following proposal for Landmarks Commission. They are requesting to install some of these decorative corbels at the top of the porch to try to frame it in. They are proposing to wrap these center posts to be a thicker nominal width than what's there now. They're also proposing to stain the front porch a darker brown color. And then for the lattice work that was beneath, they are looking to replace that with a horizontal slat board that will still provide the air movement behind the porch. I think that's it. If there's anything from the commission we got to help answer, I see the applicants here this evening to answer any questions you guys have for them.
Hello. Hello. Would you mind signing in and state your name and address, please? Yeah.
There you go, sorry about that.
Name, Bizrat Teklu.
In this drawing that's up now, what's the spindles going to be? What's your plan on that?
We were just gonna leave it as is.
So this is what's existing, this is what you have now?
Yeah, all this is just us staining the wood that we recently put in. And eventually figuring out a method to make those two smaller columns right in the front a bit thicker and wider.
But this picture shows a lot smaller railing than what's currently up?
That was just me trying to make a quick drawing. I wasn't trying to be super specific with the sketch.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So it looks like, obviously, to replace the columns, you had to pull the railing off. You had some missing and broken pieces. Typically, we like to see everything replaced like for like. This particular railing being a pre-manufactured store-bought railing is not something that we like to see in preservation or historic district. It's also much higher than what your traditional railing was. Your traditional rail came up to about the bottom of the windows,
Okay.
and this one is up, looks like at least a foot higher. I know it's made to meet code, which is at least 36 inches.
All right.
You mentioned that there's a plan to build out the center columns that are currently 4x4s to be a little bigger like the outside, is that correct?
It's the little short ones right where the front door is, because I know last time we were here, that was an issue. They were too skinny.
And were you going to lower the height of those?
I believe last time we were here, that's what we all said would be
Yeah,
next.
kind of match where it beats the house.
Yeah.
Kind of that elevation.
Shorter than where it's at now.
Yes, yes.
Did you happen to take any measurements before you pulled that old railing apart to see exactly how high it was?
No.
And looking at this picture here, it looks pretty even with the window sills, which is probably 24 inches or so. Is there any other side views, Andrew, besides looking from the porch?
No, this is the only photograph I have here. This one, it's kind of hard to see, but if you follow my mouse, it looks like that the bottom sill of the window is in the same plane as this piece of horizontal siding as the top of the railing here. And then if you follow kind of that same thing here, that plane is right there. So it would be 1, 2, 2.5 to 3 times 4, so 10 to 12 inches higher.
Right. So we're close probably to assume it was about 24 inches off the deck. Somewhere in that range, as long as it's even with the windowsill. And did we make a decision on the skirting under the porch as opposed to the lattice? There's some mention of running horizontal boards.
Yeah, that's
versus
still
vertical
our
boards.
plan. the
Okay, kind of
horizontal
like
boards.
this drawing here.
Yeah. Not the greatest drawing, but
I noticed in driving by the property that there's been significant warpage in the columns. How are you going to address that?
our neighbor across the street does a lot of housework, so we were gonna consult him.
Mr. Gus?
Yep, Mike Gus.
On your steps in your drawing, you have some vertical lines going up. Are those something you're going to add, or is that just an interpretation? or-
Something that we thought about adding, just a
Okay.
little flair.
Okay.
Is that painting the existing concrete steps that
Yep.
are there? Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew, I missed the first meeting that this was. We made some recommendations at that meeting, or did we just hear this at that point?
During that meeting in December, the commission talked with the applicants about trimming out the center posts to be more substantial in thickness like the end posts, and then also putting a cap on it. It was also discussed that the lattice skirting at the bottom not be replaced and look at doing something either vertical or horizontal for a skirting underneath. I think at that time it was discussed trying to leave the brick ends exposed and having whatever system kind of stop short to highlight these features on either end. And then the applicant noted they were looking at doing a stain color, but knew they wanted it to be on a darker scheme, but didn't know kind of what color. I think the commission talked a little bit about, if not staining, doing paint to match the trim on the house. I know this, corbels, that wasn't discussed in December. And I'm trying to think, I don't think this, the paint on the concrete stoops was talked about either.
Is that still a plan to add the corbels in?
Yeah, possible, yeah.
Did you have some stain samples?
Yeah.
Are they the same? Oh, no, a little, okay.
different.
I see the labels. All right.
But that's the general feel we're going for.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the height of the railing above the porch floor is also in question. Where it was added, the distance there is, what, 6 to 8 inches or larger?
From the bottom of it.
To the bottom rail?
Yeah, to the bottom rail. And I think we also discussed the shortening of the center post so that they wouldn't be as
Correct.
tall?
Yeah, I think when we discussed this last was to remove this railing and have it replaced with what was something comparable to what was there before. Mainly because it's on the front of the house. I think when that happens, as long as that top rail is set about to the height of the window sills, I think it could probably go just a little higher, but
Is there a specific reason why?
historically accurate, they were not to cut the windows off. Some of the houses around here have windows that go even almost all the way to the floor. But those, I think even the previous photos showed the railing at the same height when it was boxed in. If you can go all the way back to that one. Might have been maybe 1.5 inches higher with that railing on it, but it's much, much shorter than what you have in there now. That would be my recommendation, is to replace the railing. I think the columns are fine as long as they, like you said, you consult with your neighbor and see if you can get them put back together where they're not going to peel apart like they are right now. Probably just building out those center columns with some more 2x material, or at least 1x, just to make them a little thicker than they are now, and shortening those and adding a cap to the top. Like Andrew said, the skirting underneath the porch should fit in between the brick columns, not to go over top of your skirt board. So you kind of got to build a frame and then fasten
Yeah, which is
it,
what we
fasten
were
it to those.
hoping to do. We like the brick.
Traditionally, it never had corbels on it. Does anybody want to comment on that?
I think I think it would look better the way it used to look without the corbels, as to have those corbels on there. It just doesn't fit the house.
Well, structurally, it's not necessary. Yeah, historically, they weren't on. I don't have a problem with the stairs if that's how you want to paint it. So mainly, we're talking railings, center columns, and skirting.
And the spindles would be wood.
Yeah, spindles should be at least 1.5 inches or 2x2 wood material with a wood cap. Similar to
So,
what was on there before, as long as they're at least, no more than 4 inches apart.
so, as you can already see, we've already spent money on that, put it up. Is there like some kind of compensation for that, or we're just gonna have to take that hit?
It's
'Cause
not-
I'd rather not waste my money.
Not a typically approved railing in a historic or preservation.
I mean, to be honest, we didn't know you guys existed before we did all this.
Yeah, we
We
hear
got
that
the
a lot.
notice afterwards, so.
We get that quite often, you'd be surprised.
Was this system you installed in the decking section of like a Lowe's or Home Depot?
Yeah, just a Home Depot.
But it was in like the decking section of the store?
Yeah.
So that's, I think, what their, the disconnect is that a deck, and the chairman said it, by current code, needs to have that 36-inch height requirement. Because this is a porch, the system that you purchased isn't typically applied on a front porch. So that's where the extra height kind of difference became. And when looking at this porch design, it wouldn't even require, like the porch doesn't require a railing at all, based on the way it's constructed. But because it's had one in the past, it was a much lower system. Like you were saying, I think back in December, you decided not to put these center posts back in to open up that front door.
Right.
That's what the lower rails did as well, is open up that front of the house.
And if we don't change it?
The commission makes a recommendation for approval, with conditions that you can have some changes, but they want other things done another way. If those changes aren't performed, then we would take you into our court process for basically not getting approval from the Landmarks Commission before you did the work. And then the changes would be required to be completely removed, and constructed back this way. So this evening, what they are attempting to do, it sounds like, is find a balance between what was installed and, you know, what they think would be appropriate for the character of the home.
I think we're on the right track, just not with the rail. Possibly, it's unfortunate, possibly you might be able to use it out back somewhere down the road or sell it. Those would be my recommendations. I don't know if you all want to discuss that, but
I'd recommend that the board discusses it at least amongst each other, just for clarity's sake and for the minutes and for the applicant.
I'm comfortable with that assessment.
anyone else? All seem to be in agreement. Like I said, I think we're on the right track with those recommendations. That's something you can work with.
Yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
You got it all written down?
I've got it written down, never mind. I'd like to make a motion to approve tabled application CA-22-042 with the following conditions. One, that the traditional railings be replaced in the likeness that they were before they were removed, which will involve removing the current pressure-treated 2x4 and galvanized railing system. That railing should max out in height somewhere around the window sill height to the top. The two center columns are to be built out with at least three-quarter material on all four sides and capped with a wood cap. The skirting material underneath is fine at being horizontal. Were you thinking like a 1x6 on that, or 1x4, something in that?
I haven't given any
I
thought.
think either one would be fine, as long as they are set to a frame inside the brick columns.
Did you mention shortening the post, the center post and
Yeah,
and a cap?
I did not, but those posts should be shortened to be appropriate to the railing height. Typically, they're maybe 4 or 5 inches max higher than the rail height itself. One thing I didn't talk about was the stain. My recommendation would be to paint it the same color as the trim of the house. Does anyone have any opposition to stain?
Be fine.
Okay. I believe that's it.
And no corbels.
No corbels.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Kelly? Roll call, Linda Bobby? Yes. Will Wardell?
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly?
Yes.
Roger White?
Yes.
Rich Doubty, yes. Pete Lynch?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
The next application on tonight's agenda is CA 23-002. Address of subject property is 152 West Waterloo Street. The request this evening is for a new freestanding sign. The subject property last year was converted to the Napa facility that migrated across the street. During that previous approvals, the applicant got approval for this 26.5 square foot wall sign as shown on the screen. The applicant this evening is requesting approval for a freestanding sign to be located on the eastern corner of the property and the parking lot. This new sign is proposed to be 5.1 feet setback from the right-of-way. The applicant has provided the attached rendition for the sign showing it is going to be 5 feet and 2 inches tall. The sign will sit on a solid stone base that will match the material on the building. The sign panel itself is approximately 9 square feet at 3 foot by 3 foot and features downward facing lighting at the top. The sign is constructed out of a aluminum panel with a vinyl logo decal applied to the face. If there's any questions from the commission, I'd be glad to help answer. Applicant's here to answer any questions you guys have.
My name's Oliver Holtzberry.
Andrew, are there any issues in that sign placement being clear in the corner there? Seems like a good spot for it.
Yeah, the sign meets our setback requirements, which is a minimum of 5 feet from the right-of-way. The right-of-way in this instance is approximately where that red dashed line is. So they're showing that sign basically right where the parking lot makes the transition from heading in to where it starts to angle for the parking.
No, I'm
Now, this
assuming
si-
it's,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm assuming it's going to set perpendicular to the street.
Correct.
Now, this sign is a flat panel, is that correct? Or
Yes,
is there any dimension to it? Is it three-dimensional, or?
it is flat. The Napa part would be a vinyl decal as we have it designed right now.
Okay. Was there any consideration to having some dimension to it?
I think there was. I think it was just a cost savings. One thing, when we originally designed it, it did not have that stone veneer base. It was a total aluminum structure. So I think when we redesigned that, some of the extra costs from the stone veneer, I think the vinyl was just used as a cost savings by the client.
I would think from a cost standpoint of, if it were ever vandalized, it might be better to have the flat panel, just to put a new decal up rather than replacing a three-dimensional type sign.
Is the stone the same as the building, or is it just close?
Correct, yep. It's to match that, that exactly. And if it differs at all in that drawing, which I don't think it really does, but we're using the same stone veneers they used on the building.
So is there a sign on the building also?
Yes, there's a sign on the east side of the building by the entrance.
Okay, so that's the one we approved in 2021, that's the fiber cement wood? Or some type of
No, the-
composite or something, or?
No, in February of
Just behind it.
21, that is these wood panels where the signage would be mounted to.
Oh, okay.
In August of 21, that was this, or excuse me,
June.
in August of 22, that was the 26.5 square foot Napa sign, this one right here.
Okay, so is it pretty similar to this? Is it flat also? The others, or does it have dimension to it?
That sign is a hexagon that has a 2-inch relief, so it sticks out 2 inches from the face.
Okay.
The difference between this one and the wall sign is this hexagon shape is flat on the metal panel. It wouldn't have like the whole hexagon shape pulled out, like the building.
Gotcha.
Is there a reason for making it different than the sign that's up now? I know you guys are kind of rebranding some things in a way.
No, I think it was just, it's dimensional on the building, like it has about 2 inches, but I still think it's a vinyl decal on top of it.
Okay.
So the letters aren't dimensional?
No, so it's basically just a 2-inch pan face with a vinyl overlay on it.
Andrew, there's nothing in the bylaws about like illumination, like with that being downlit like that?
Uh, Yeah, the only type of lighting that's permitted would be down lighting like this or landscape lighting that lit up
Cool.
the other way. But nothing internally lit is permitted.
Any other comments, questions?
Want to go for it?
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve CA-23-002.
I'd like to second that motion.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Whit Wardell,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Rich Dodd, yes. Roger White,
Yes.
Pete Lynch.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you for your time.
This next application is CA 23-003. Same address with subject property, 152 West Waterloo Street. The applicant is requesting for a metal flashing cap for the existing membrane roof on the building. I talked with Todd prior to this meeting. Unfortunately, his wife is sick, so he didn't want to come into the meeting tonight. He wanted to stay home with her. So he asked that I make the presentation on his behalf. Recycled the photograph from the other application here, showing the front of the facility. If you look at the photograph here, the top ridge of the existing stone veneer is a stone veneer cap that's on the building. When they redid the roof prior to Napa moving in, they added a new membrane roof because the previous one is leaking. The stone cap does not have a drip edge built into it, so water is running along the back of the stone, turning and going in between the membrane roof and the roof itself, and the new roof's leaking. So based off of a conversation with the applicant, what they're looking to do is add a new flashing cap over top the existing stone cap. The photograph on the left is an actual photo of that flashing cap sitting on top of the building. They took that for your guys' kind of view on what it would look like. The image on the right is a detail of what that would look like. And I just remembered, if you give me 30 seconds, I have a sample in my office of the color. Feel free to talk about it.
Is it dark?
No. I'll show you.
Faster.
Yeah, I think if it was dark, it would like cap it weird. If you look at it, this is the one that's in there. Who knows what that is? I don't know if I can do that. You know, if it was the same as this, it might really be able to scorch the building down.
Where does the Old Town end and the,
Preservation. It's really, it's kind of all over.
There's
that's the
the
flash?
color, yep, that's the actual piece of flashing.
Disappear under that stone pretty good.
That's heavy.
Is this just the color, Andrew, or does this go
That's
all the way back over?
So if you look here, it wraps the front face and then goes over and then goes down the back. So that's the color they're looking to install.
So it's more of a U-shaped
Yes.
piece. I like it. Any further questions? I'd like to approve application CA-23-003 as presented with the color. What is that color, Andrew, does it say?
No idea.
But that's what they gave you,
Correct.
Presented color.
as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Rich Dodd, yes. Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Pete Lynch.
Yes. Next.
This next application here is CA 23-004. The address subject property is 27 West Columbus Street. This application is followed up with a second application, so I'm just going to briefly discuss the differences right now between the two, and the reason why there are two. The applicant in this first application is requesting approval for vinyl siding, re-siding the subject property. The following application is to re-side the property in a hardy board siding material. The applicant has provided photographs of the damage to their siding, a huge kind of chunk that's missing in the back of the house. They are looking to re-side the home. And with the hail damage, they're looking to get help from their insurance company on it. Insurance company could not replace the damaged aluminum with new aluminum because they can't find a product to match. So they're looking to do the next kind of route alternative, which would be a vinyl product. The applicant talked with her insurance agency that the vinyl product is not something that the Landmarks Commission would typically approve, even if it was to replace an aluminum siding with it. The insurance company basically needs a official denial for one product to increase the claim. Is that the right way to say it?
They have a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, for the gap. So that's why the application is kind of structured this way. So we'll go through one and then cover the other. Up on the screen are photographs I have from 2019 of the subject property. This beautiful canary yellow is a 5-inch aluminum siding on the subject property. It is a traditional lap siding style. When looking at photographs provided by the applicant here, you can see the existing dimensions of the existing yellow siding. And then again, the request is to replace the siding that has been damaged with hail in addition to this chunk of siding that's missing. When looking at this photograph here, I did kind of talk to the applicant briefly that behind there looks to be some spray and insulation and then some maybe 2 1/4, 3-inch Dutch lap siding, wood siding that's kind of scabbed beneath there. When talking to the applicant on why the product they're looking to do was not a smaller profile siding, and they're looking to match the dimensions of what was there now. Really the concern from both, I guess, ends was they like the profile of what's on the house now, so they wanted to replicate it as much as possible, and finding a suitable hardy product or something at that kind of caliber didn't exist. So this first application here is for a Dakota vinyl siding, which is a double 4 lap siding. The request for both materials are to change the color of the home. This one, the vinyl siding's product spec is called an urban blue. If there's any questions from the commission, I'd be glad to help answer them. The applicant's here to answer any questions you guys have on this specific application, as well as the next one that will follow.
Hi.
Hi, guys, I'm Anna Smoot.
Andrew, could you go back to the picture with the yellow, the front of the house? So I'm looking at the trim around the windows. It's all been wrapped in the previous.
Yes, so the applicant does note in their application, I apologize if it's not on my screen.
I wrote quite a lot.
They are, the existing window trim has been wrapped with aluminum, and they're looking to re-wrap it with vinyl in this application or in the subsequent application with hardy.
And it would remain white.
So we want to just go ahead and deny this first one and move on to the second one?
I think so.
Why don't we just go ahead and deny the
Yeah,
first one
yeah.
right off the bat? I make a motion that we approve.
Can I at least, just for the sake of her insurance company asking for a copy of the denial minutes, just discussion on why the material is being denied just for her sake here, please?
Sorry, guys, thank you.
Okay.
I don't know of a single vinyl application that's been approved since I've been on here. And I remember Pat Lynch saying the same thing, and he was on a long time before me.
There's been 3 that I'm aware of. All 3 had been cited prior to your guys' review. Anybody that's come before the group and has asked to replace something, you guys have
Or they
pushed for something more historically accurate than what was on the house before.
or they've matched, like the garage up on the
Correct, that was
street.
one of them.
The whole house was already sided, so
Mhm.
they allowed them to fix the garage with the matching siding.
Correct.
Is that good enough for you?
That's perfect, thank you.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve 23004.
I'll second.
Roll call, Pete Lynch,
No.
Roger White,
No.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
No.
Whit Wardell,
No.
Rich Dobbin, no, Linda Bowman.
No,
The next application, CA 23-005, same subject property. Again, the applicant is requesting to replace the existing 5-inch aluminum siding with a 5-inch hardy board siding. The applicant has provided the photographs of the material they're looking to use. In this instance, they're looking for a pre-finished hardy board in deep ocean. The material has the wood grain finish on the cement board siding. I think the applicant has a sample for you guys to look at. One thing I did not ask the applicant was if that pre-finished product came in both a textured and a smooth side. Sometimes you could flip the boards upside down.
Nobody said anything to me about that. I have a book of samples and they're all the same texture, just different
Okay.
colors.
I know it's something the commission sometimes asks. I apologize, I didn't think of that when you stopped by to drop this off. But again, the applicant's also looking to rewrap all the trim in the matching product.
In a James Hardy product.
Yes.
Are there any windows exposed that are not wrapped in aluminum right now?
No.
So you can't tell what the original trim underneath there looks like?
I'm assuming what's underneath the aluminum that we have now is like really small. I want to say it's probably the original wood from like 1899 or whatever. So the issue is I meant to add this. There is some water intrusion into the inside of the house. You can see that the plaster is starting to bubble up or whatever. I know that wood is completely porous at this point. So I'm assuming that underneath of there is some matching wood equally old
For the trim.
for the trim, yes.
Andrew, have we approved any Boral products for exterior restoration yet?
Your house?
Just the railing?
I think so. That's the fly ash composite material.
Yeah, I think we went, that was an option, but I think we originally, which I'm probably gonna bring back. Just because that stuff's $8 million.
I have a question for the applicant. Yes? Hi. The sample that you just sent down the row was named Deep Ocean. The picture says Urban Blue.
Oh, I'm sorry, that must be a typo. I copied and pasted from the vinyl application. The vinyl was the urban blue. This is in fact Deep Ocean.
Okay, so cross out the urban.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I'm
Go to the
wrong.
next.
Sorry, I
That's
stabbed
okay.
you.
It's okay, yeah.
But it
Right
says
now.
the right one on this
Yes,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
If you had a
Please forgive me.
choice,
Sorry.
if you had a choice between the smooth hardy and the wood grain hardy, I'm seeing a lot more people are going to the smooth as opposed to the faux,
Faux wood.
yeah, faux wood.
I honestly would prefer the smooth. The issue that I'm running into is the company that we're working with, they don't usually work with hardy. That's why I started this process in October, or whatever. It's been quite a difficult thing to get them to source the hardy. And like I said, all that they have provided to me is the wood grain, but I mean, I can definitely talk with them and see if there's a smoother.
But sometimes the wood grain looks fake.
Yeah, I don't love it. I didn't know that smooth was an option. I would prefer smooth. If we can find it.
Pete, do you know if all pre-finished James Hardy's reversible?
There's a cut sheet. I don't know if it would say on the cut sheet.
Yeah, they're usually, Certainty made a reversible product, but they merged with Lexi. That's where Allura came from. And I think they just offer a smooth side out.
If you look at the back of that sample, it's not what you want to put out. And it's just,
Oh, hey, it's in the cut sheet.
you can
So yeah, then I should be able to
Is
do
everybody done with
smooth.
this? You can have this back.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
smooth.
Now, I don't know if the color you like's in smooth, but it looks like they do have a smooth product.
We can be flexible on the color. I
You-
mean,
you just
as
like
long
the
as it's in
dark
the
blue?
same color family, like a blue.
You like the dark blue?
This is my husband's baby. I like the yellow.
Can we approve yellow or blue?
Yeah, I think, so with the specifics of this property's location, there's no specific color approval to go through. But I think in the instance it's a whole new re-siding, it's pre-finished, it's probably at least something you guys and the applicant at least would like to talk about. But if there's no preference on color, then that's always an option as well.
Are you trying to do a manufacturer color for the warranty?
Yeah.
Okay. There's, just so you know, there's a company in Zanesville that will factory paint any color that you want.
Even on the Hardy?
Yes.
Oh.
It's about a 12% material increase in
Okay.
cost-wise, but they ship it, whoever your supplier is ships it directly there, and then they go pick it up and deliver it to you.
That's
So
good to know.
it's nice to know when you just can't find one,
Yeah.
the color that you're really happy with.
We were hoping for a little bit, like, I don't know, from a distance, this kind of looks like a gray to me, which I didn't love, but this was the only blue color that was available in the Hardy boards, so that's good to know.
If you decide you want to, I don't know the information off the top of my head, but we can get it for you if you're interested
That would
in
be
getting a
great.
custom color.
Thank you.
No problem. So that James Hardy, I believe, is a 6-inch minimal lap. They'll allow you to run it to 5, but not 4, if I'm not
Lap
mistaken.
is vertical?
4-inch in height.
Oh, okay, okay. He said it was 5.
5, yeah. Yeah, you can lap it down to 5, but you can't go any lower than that. Are you okay
Okay.
with the 5-inch lap?
Yes.
Okay.
I just asked him to match what we had now so that it was
That's,
less.
right, I was just
moving
making sure you
parts.
do that. That's as close as it'll get is a 5.
And the trim will stay white regardless of
Yes.
which color gets picked. Okay.
And you would do all of that smooth as well?
Yes.
So there's, with James Hardy products, you have to nail it a certain way, fill it with color match caulking if you're doing that. Another option for your trim is a product called Boral by True Exterior. They will allow you to fill your nail holes, so if you don't want to see nails, you can use Boral as a trim.
Boral with a B?
Yeah, B-O-R-A-L.
Okay.
It's made by True Exterior.
I'm hoping
It's a
that
little more expensive, but
I'm
they're
hoping
a
that
little
the
more
siding
lenient.
company will cover up the nail holes.
They won't if it's James Hardy,
Okay,
because you avoid your warranty if they do.
okay, good to know.
Is that because it can't breathe like it's supposed to? What's the,
I think because a lot of people use the wrong filler and
Hmm.
the nails pop, and then they blame the siding company and they have to come back, so they just said, no more filling. So you can't even, you have to use a special color caulking, and the caulking's only about 20% of them actually match the factory color. They're always off, and it leaves like a shiny residue. So just as a builder, it drives me nuts. Dr. Kelly's house we did, and we went with cedar trim everywhere just because we didn't want to see nail holes.
Yeah.
So, which is another option, but now that Boral's out, it's a really good
It's good
alternative.
stuff.
Mhm.
And it's safe, it won't damage the,
It's actually 100% ground contact, okay, so it's not gonna rot. I won't say ever, but it shouldn't rot.
for a while.
I like it more than James Hardy or Allura.
Okay.
if you want, you can shoot me an email tomorrow and I'll get all this in an email
Thank you so
for
much.
you. I know it's a lot to
I'm making mental notes.
remember.
What is the, I know this isn't part of the application here, but what is the plan for the lattice work as it's currently
The lattice-
nailed to the outside?
The
of
lattice
the
work,
skirt
we
board?
were gonna keep the same. As you can see, there's a couple of sections where it's just gapped a little bit. I think eventually down the road, we might wanna replace that, but I think like one thing at a time maybe, so just leave it as is.
And this photo is 5 years old, by the way, I apologize. I know it's hard to believe 2019 was that long ago, but
Is it safe to say then that all of the wood that's skirt boards that are underneath that, you're gonna leave alone for now?
Yes, the skirt board is the part around the bottom of the porch,
Correct.
correct? Yes, all of that will be like the same.
Okay. And what is the railing material there? All that stays, I take it? Is it vinyl?
Yeah, that is plastic. That is horrible, horrible plastic. We want to get a new porch as well, but again, one thing at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, that house could use some larger columns.
Yes.
They're just too small.
So up at the top in your eaves, you have soffits and your freeze board. Is that all staying as well?
I believe that that's going to remain the same.
Is it wrapped metal or is it painted?
I think that it's wrapped metal.
Okay. So we are okay just to leave all that the same, Andrew, since it's existing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you guys are here for.
Well, I'm just looking at this being an insurance claim. It's a struggle to get, a full replacement on parts of that. Looks like there's crown detail on the front, but is it just,
You want right here?
yeah, it looks like it's just coil.
There's some right there as well. But if that's all gonna remain, they're just doing the yellow part in between.
Right, sounds like just the siding and then all the trim around the windows. So your outside corners currently match the color of the siding. Do you plan to keep that way, or will you?
Yes, it will still match the,
Okay. It won't be like this where your outside corners are white?
no.
Any thoughts?
Will they have to paint that? They'll paint that to match.
If you're doing a factory colored trim, probably need to paint all of the existing freeze boards and soffit to match, or you're gonna end up with two different shades.
I'm
Or-
sorry, I don't know what any of these house components are.
So, Andrew, can you, it's kinda hard
These
to
are here.
The underneath of the roofing there?
This is all your soffit
Okay,
here, this is your freeze board, which is also up top,
Mhm.
all the way around. So if all that stays and you get a new factory color trim, it's not gonna match that color.
Two different whites.
Yeah.
okay.
So that gets into whether you wanna replace those boards or paint that existing to match.
I think we would probably paint it to match.
Paint it to match the color of the
The
house?
new trim
The
color.
new trim.
Okay.
with white.
Because it's white right now, and it roughly matches the white aluminum trim, so we just want to make sure that it's the same color white as the new trim. I hadn't even thought of that.
That will also be true on your skirt boards underneath your
Mm-hmm.
lattice work.
You can kind of see here, the vinyl railing is brighter white than anything else on the whole house too. Which the hardy should match the vinyl better than the other components, I'd imagine. Would these three windows on your living room be trimmed out? They currently aren't.
I don't think so. I think we're just replacing the windows that have existing trim.
Okay. So these would match and these would stay the same.
Is that the only set of windows in the house that are like that?
I believe so. The little tri-window in the top there, that one I believe is wood frame still, but it's very difficult to access to determine for sure.
If we keep all the freeze and soffit boards, would you be opposed to trimming those three windows out? It would look a lot more
Yeah,
consistent
absolutely.
that way.
It would just be
They're
one
very-
box around and filling in the
Yeah,
gaps.
they're very close together. I actually asked the previous homeowner why they didn't trim them, and she said they were so close together that they couldn't figure out how to get the trim work.
You would just eliminate the siding between the two windows and
Okay.
and run a solid style
Okay.
vertically in between.
That would look much better.
We don't have any pictures of the rest of the, is this the only exterior, just that view?
No, I apologize, that's the only one I had. You have a detached garage?
I do.
Is it gonna stay the same for now?
It's gonna stay the same, we're gonna try to paint it because it is also bright yellow.
Right.
It's wood, and it's in very bad shape, and it's gonna have to come down at some point in the next few years. So we were going to paint the existing garage to match the
House.
carport
For now.
for now, until we get a new garage. I have a feeling you guys are gonna be seeing a lot of me in the next few years.
Well, good. It's always better when you come in than come in afterwards. Anyone have any further questions? I would like to make a motion that we approve certificate CA-23-05 with the following conditions, that we use a James Hardy 5-inch in the color Deep Ocean, is that correct?
Yes.
Are we set on that color?
I don't, do we have to?
Do we have to
approve the
set
color?
on that
We don't
color?
have to, no.
All right,
No.
we're not gonna, I retract that statement on color. With the option on your trim replacing all the coiled stock aluminum window casing with either Boral or matching James Hardy trim. And also trimming out the 3 windows on the left front side of the house. All of the existing soffit and fascia will stay coil and will be painted to match the same as the new Hardy trim. I believe that's it.
I will second. Roll call, Pete Lynch,
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Rich Dobley, yes. Dr. Scott Kelly?
Yes.
Whit Wardell?
Yes.
Linda Bodie?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Is it too late to specify that a smooth finish on that Hardy?
You voted on it.
You prefer smooth?
We would.
Okay, me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last application on tonight's agenda is CA 23-006. The address of subject property is 10 South High Street. The request this evening is to reface the existing neon sign. Up on the screen is the neon sign design that was approved in April of 2019. The applicant is looking to rebrand the restaurant here, so with that comes a new sign. The sign that is existing is being proposed to be painted black. The neon will be redone in white around the border to match what's there now. The lettering in between will be in a white neon. And then the school, I'm going to call it a schoolhouse, the logo at the top will be illuminated in a red neon. However, all the neon tubes will be clear, so even the red tube, when it's off, will look clear like the rest of the sign. Right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's how I understand it, yeah.
Other than, here's a detailed cut sheet that kind of describes all of that. Again, you can see here a clear red for the neon, and then the white. But this photo looks a little nicer to look at. If you have any questions for me, we're glad to help answer. Stan's here to answer any questions you guys have.
Dimensions are roughly the same, right?
Yeah, same sign, different color, different name.
So you keep in all the frame and everything, just,
Yeah, just
Okay.
the insert changes, but we, I mean, it, you know, it's to look, it's to keep the, that sign's cool, so we don't want to change the sign. So you change what's on it.
Is the old sign going in your man cave in your basement? A big giant
I
green
don't,
barrel and bore sign?
we have, if I held on to stuff like that. We do have a corporate office, we might put it, we might put it in there, but you know, they never take it down intact, it'll be destroyed.
Do you have any information on the barrel and bore sign or Village Wines? Was there just vinyl and neon on it, or was there acrylic and neon on it?
This says here,
Says vinyl
It was a
graphics
panels-
applied.
go ahead, Dr. Kelly.
It says vinyl graphics applied, about halfway down.
Same company did it, by the way, so I just had them, so that should be,
I mean,
assuming a lot hasn't changed since 2019, I would assume it's the same.
my only concern would just be that it has white acrylic letters on it, and that's a plastic, and we try to avoid the plastics, but I mean, vinyl application, or a vinyl decal versus dimensional plastic letters, I mean, I don't know that we're really talking about that big of a difference there, so.
No, I don't think any discernible difference has been made in this type of instance. I see what you're saying, though.
Yep.
Andrew, can you describe like where the neon's going again? I'm a little confused by this.
So if you look at this is the existing layout. So there's the neon around the frame at the bottom, the 2 rows in the middle, and the frame around the top. And then the existing sign had a neon circle, and then neon for the lettering. The small text here and the logo was just a decal before. If you look at the new one, the frame on the top, middle, and bottom staying exactly the same. This red blotch is the Schoolhouse O light up red. The word Homestead Beer Co. Would be the neon, but I do not believe the tap room and kitchen's not neon, correct?
The Homestead Beer Company is.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of shown, this is lit up here. This is supposed to be lit up as well, but this one is too small.
So just the outline of the house or whatever, the barn, whatever that is what would
If
just
I
be
could,
red.
I can kind of, it's a little more,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, I don't know why that printed that way, but.
Thank you.
Makes sense to me.
Oh, cool. You have a better photo than I do.
That's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
It won't be just a block, but it's
Sun looks so good during the day.
So where is this based out of?
Homestead?
Yeah.
Barrel and Bore, I own Barrel and Bore, and
Okay.
several others, and we're merging with Homestead as a brewery.
Okay.
So Homestead started in Heath, it's about 10 years old. And so as we merged with them, we opened a location in Marysville for a Homestead kitchen and tap room that's the same. That's what this is based on. And as we merge the companies together, we're converting a couple things, you know, as we kind of bring all this as kind of one big thing now. We're bringing in a couple locations, and what we found is that, this is more information than you've asked for, but just some context.
It's all right.
What we found is that when the economy changed, we had a very successful 2021, and then 22 was really weird with the economy change. We're the most expensive restaurant on the street, and I don't really think that serves us. And we get in areas outside of 270. It just it's harder. You know, it's harder financially when gas was $5 and groceries are 30% more. And it's also Barrel and Bore is a totally scratch restaurant. The only thing we buy is French fries. We make our own dressings and all that. And that was really a great idea when there was a lot of talent out there and people to work. But now it's a lot different. You know, the world is so. The Homestead concept, as we merged, the brewery has had great success. 10 years old, they make a really great product. The owner of that brewery is a really good guy and really one of the smartest guys I've ever met. So he needed help with retail, so we kind of combined, and we're creating, it's much simple, much more value, you know, much more affordable. I think it really fits the area very well. You know, it's a $13 hamburger, $14 hamburger, and as opposed to 16, and you know, everything's just a lot less expensive. Smaller menu, you know, 20 items, and then just kind of traditional home style food.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
should be fun.
Thanks.
Andrew says he can get me through plan approval in a week. You said that.
Plus or minus.
Have any further questions? Can I get a motion? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve CA-23-006.
Get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Rich Dowda, yes. Pete Lynch.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Staying outside of the sign, do you guys have, are you keeping that smokehouse that's behind the building? For now, I mean, I meant to ask you when I saw you last and I totally forgot.
We're gonna keep the structure.
Okay?
I think that what we will probably submit in the future, I mean, I don't know how that works because I'm not sure what I need to submit to you for that, and that it will, that structure's pretty, it's there.
Sure.
So, we might use it to put a freezer, you know,
Well-
put cooler space or something because it has electric.
What I was gonna ask is if that, or could you move your dumpster to it, so it's right behind your building?
It's possible we could, yeah.
It was just a thought I had.
Yeah, I thought about it too. My concern is that because of how close that is to the building and the train station and all that, I mean, it's, I'm just concerned about smell and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Certainly potential.
Okay.
Definitely we'll use it. Right now, I'm planning to just get it cleaned out and then kind of figure out what we need
Yeah.
to do.
Perfect.
Once at a time.
So you on Cherry Street now too?
I do, yeah.
Can you please bring back the pork tacos?
And if I brought back everything everybody wanted.
Just the pork tacos, just the one thing.
You own,
We usually rotate stuff back in from time to time.
you own Cherry Street
I
now?
do, yeah.
I've been meaning to, I just moved to Lancaster, I've been meaning to make my way down there, check it out.
Yeah, there's a barrel board down there too. That's
I knew that one, I've been to that one.
Factory?
Yeah.
You know the factory? now?
Yeah, I've been there. My neighbors love it.
That'll become Homestead Sour Facility, sour beer facility as well.
Sour?
So sour beers.
Nice.
Sour beers. So it'll be, kind of a combination effort out there, but the factory's been a pretty good project.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
In terms of old, new business, when looking at old business, thanks for the people in this room that spent grueling hours at the community plan workshop number 2 last Wednesday and Thursday in this room. I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing the carpet in here as much as I am. That process I thought was actually very well attended, the first day on Wednesday. Thursday was a lot of repeat material, so people here on Wednesday kind of knew that ahead of time. Those that really wanted to be here this entire time stuck it through. But that was the last public kind of workshop for the plan. The steering committee, next steps for them is really reviewing a draft the consultants plan to have in the next several months. That draft would get chewed up by the steering committee and then go to planning and zoning for a recommendation to city council. So please stay tuned for that. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting, we asked in a survey about housing alternatives that the community doesn't have and what people would be interested in. We put in there carriage homes to see kind of what the reaction was. We had an option that said, I don't care, and we had more than, I think, 60% that said they didn't care, which in my mind is better than almost saying that they like them, because it means that they're here, they probably wouldn't even notice. So that's something, I think from adding density to downtown to support local business, we're going to explore heavily when the plan's over. I still get 6 to 10 requests a year to do carriage homes from different people, and I tell them our zoning doesn't allow for it. I have to rewrite our zoning code to allow for mixed-use products. And even before that, it was a bunch of variance requests to even get it accomplished. So it's something we're going to be looking at, but I know those are kind of interesting projects for you guys, because it's basically building a tiny home behind your home, or above your garage or whatever. So we'll be further exploring that. I'm trying to think of any other items that would be really applicable to you guys.
I could add in quick that Waterloo 1 and 2 were positively fed back, or there was positive feedback given, but then people said that they did a really nice job making them look historic, which I think kind of goes to a credit to some of the suggestions and things that this commission did. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely very positive feedback we had. And as part of the process, we are looking at what future annexation and development in the village of Waterloo would look like. My personal vision for that is it would be something that would go before you guys for review and approval, but maybe in a different capacity. So we have our Old Town guidelines. I would like to create something different for that area, where you guys would serve as an architecture review board for design and character. More kind of leeway than what planning and zoning has, because you guys would be in tandem with them. You'd review the design, they'd review the site plan sort of scenario, kind of like what you guys do here, but rather than creating a whole new area for you guys to look at, like the style of the home, really make it more flexible than what we have here. So that's something I'm just trying to, kind of kicking around mentally, that we'd be looking at. But I did want to kind of let you guys know that we are planning for that area.
How much of the current Waterloo Village would need to be annexed before we started having those kind of landmark decisions?
So the first step would be, any of it could be annexed at any time, because annexation is just who controls the property for taxation and utility purposes. But when it comes to redevelopment, annexed property is in a holding category, so you can't do anything with it until you zone it. So my hope is that we'd be able to figure those things out with city council prior to zoning requests happening. That way it's from the very beginning, like here's like a threshold. Again, that's kind of what this community plan process is figuring out, is what the pulse of people, you know, when changes start to happen, what it would be and what they would support. You know, part of it for my end is figuring out, you know, who's going to review it and regulate it. I think it makes sense for you guys to do it. On the other hand, you know, some people may argue, you guys have a lot on your plate here, like that could be something totally different. And it's you guys would have to switch gears almost for certain applications, which may become difficult. So that's what we're trying to figure out. We are trying to explore some grant funding right now from the state on if we can update our Old Town guidelines. They have grant money that's available to do so. The deadline to apply for the grant is the end of March. So we're trying to figure out if we can find somebody to be preliminarily on board. But the review process so far has seemed really daunting. So you submit for the grant, the state has to review your RFP for what the grant details are, and then they have to review and approve the consultant that's doing the work, and then they have to review and approve the draft before it goes to review at planning and zoning and council for legislation. So it's a lot of like hands and steps involved for basically some financial assistance. So that's what we're looking at, is it worth getting some money from the state to do it, if, you know, they're going to tell you guys, like, you know, if you guys want to require every house to have window trim, and they're like, well, we can't require it, we can recommend it, right? That's what we're trying to figure out how to get away from now, is the soft rules. And I think those are hurdles we're trying to look into ahead of time before we accept money, and then we basically do an update that does nothing. Or, you know, vice versa. It does an update that does more than what the board wants to accomplish. But it's something that we're trying to figure out if we want to do with this year's grant funding or not.
Will that funding be available next year, likely?
It just depends. I guess from talking to the guy at the state, the federal government has given them $45,000 more than they typically do. So their budget for funding certified local government projects has increased to $145,000. They also awarded the funding really early. They typically don't award the funding till this October. And so it was awarded at the beginning of this year, like January 1. So they don't want to sit on it, they want to divvy it out and spend it. But I guess they think that there'll be a lot of hands asking for it this time around because they're now accepting digital applications, and they've never done that in the past. So we're just trying to weigh the pros and cons of everything, but what my goal would be is that we would set up a committee that have members of the Landmarks Commission, residents of Old Town, Historical Society, you know, all these entities to review the Old Town guidelines we have now with a consultant. They would look at what's best practices for changes, and then the committee would add and subtract from that best practice list to tailor fit it to this community. One of the things very specific is like saying no vinyl siding ever, period, like exclamation point. Right now, our guidelines, which were drafted from the state in 2012, say maybe under circumstances. So like that's something, if we want to change, now's the opportunity to do it. Same with window trim. You know, the state would say if it's historically accurate. Well, if you have people that have no record of what it looked like, then maybe it's easier to say, yes, you have to have trim. The design of that trim could be based on style of the home. Here are some examples based off of home styles, you know, paths to take. You know, that's what we're trying to figure out, is that next step of making it very prescriptive for people to know exactly what to do when they walk in the door. So that's something we're looking at doing as well. That's all I got. That was a lot, that's all I got.
Andrew, you might tell them about your tour of the new apartments.
Yes, so they are wrapping up the new buildings at Waterloo 2. I got to go through those units with the general contractor, and the way that like you can see our town, like when I looked at the first units, it was like crazy to see that high up and see everything that's been going on. Looking at the new units now, now that there's a comparable kind of across the street, it feels more in place from, I think, like the renter perspective. Also, the quality of the fit and finish is above anything I've ever physically seen. Like they put in built-ins on each unit by a window because they just thought it add some flair to the room. And even though you could see like the little peg holes where you can adjust the shelves, like just that little touch, like really makes it look like a really old apartment. All quartz everywhere, really elaborate light fixtures. This unit, if you guys have, how many have been in the first building? So you have the central corridor that runs the whole length of the building to get to each of the 6 units up in each floor. So this is a 4-unit building, so you have a stairwell that runs up, and then on each end of the stairwell you have a door straight ahead and a door to the side. So it actually feels like a really high-end environment. I think the other one has more of like a hotel feel based off of the central corridor. But this one, you know, you're one of 3 other neighbors up there. Units are much bigger than the other across the street.
Just 4 units per floor?
4 per floor.
Is there an elevator?
No.
Because somebody said, oh, yes, that's definitely, that one's got an elevator. And I
No.
said, I don't think so.
No, there's no elevator in either. Neither of them meet the threshold requirement for an elevator based on the number of units.
And that's not us making that decision, that's a general contracting kind of a decision.
Yeah, that's just state building code.
State building code,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the cost of an elevator would have canceled the projects. Because I think an elevator, last time I talked to somebody that was looking to put one in a building downtown here, was $1,200 a foot.
Oh, my.
And then,
40,000 per floor?
yeah, and then you have to do annual inspections and fees. I mean, it's $1 million for a 3-story building.
Wow. And it takes up space.
It takes up space, yeah. That's all I got.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to second that.
The time is 8, what is that?
17.
17.
Roll call, Whit Wardell,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Rich Dobde, yes, Roger White,
Yes.
Pete Lynch,
Yes.
Linda Bobby.
Yes.